Dear dignitaries and participants, a very good morning. I, Dr. Suraj Goel from Department of Mathematics, J.C. Bose University of Science and Technology, welcome you all on today's expert lecture on research, database, and indexes. I express my gratitude to our expert for today's talk, Professor Sandeep Grover from Department of Mechanical Engineering, J.C. Bose University of Science and Technology, YMCA, for sparing valuable time from his busy schedule for this lecture. Before going to start with today's proceedings, I request our chairperson, Dr. Neetu Gupta ma'am, to brief us all about our today's resource person who has a vast teaching and research experience. Ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Suraj. Our keynote speaker, respected Professor Sandeep Grover from J.C. Bose University of Science and Technology, YMCA Faridabad, all my faculty members, research scholars, and dear students. On behalf of Department of Mathematics, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. Today, our resource person, Professor Sandeep Grover, holds bachelor's degree in engineering, master degree in technology, PhD in quality management. He has over 3 decades of teaching and research experience. Sir has authored over 120 papers in national and international journals and conferences. His area of interests are TQM, graph theoretic approach, educational quality. Sir has successfully guided 12 PhDs. He is professionally associated with UGC, AICT, NBA, NEC, NPIU, and other universities for quality related activities. Sir has held membership to various bodies in and outside university. Sir also hold various posts, charges in parent institution, including vice chancellor, dean, registrar, head of the department. More than, he is a very grounded person, kind and grounded person. He agreed to spare his valuable time for all of us today. I am quite sure that the participants will be benefited from today's talk, and we will all learn a lot from Professor Sandeep Grover expertise. Once again, I welcome Professor Sandeep Grover, and I also congratulate all faculty members of Department of Mathematics for organizing such a talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, without wasting any time, I would like to invite Professor Grover to start with today's lecture. Ji, sir.
Okay. Thank you and namaskar to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Neetu Gupta, for giving me a chance to, it is always very enjoyable and very nice to interact with the students of our own university in some way or the other. So it's good that I have got a chance to interact with the research scholars of Department of Mathematics, and whatever knowledge and whatever I could share with my experience, I hope that add values to all of you. So let me start with it. I can share the screen.
Yes, sir.
So you are co-host now. You can share your screen.
So I think you are able to see my screen now. Okay. So most of these are PhD students of your department, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. There are students from other department also? No, only from mathematics.
Sir, only from mathematics.
Only from mathematics. Okay.
Sir, some are MSc in mathematics students also.
Okay. 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 Some MSc also. So, dear students, before I start my talk on the topic that is research, database, and indices, let me share that why this topic is important. Now, since I hope all of you are working in some area or have interest in some area. If you are a PhD scholar, you must have decided your research area and you might be working in that area also. And if you are an MSc student, then of course there are certain areas of interest, and you still, I am sure that you still want to decide that in which area you should further pursue your research or maybe PhD or maybe anything related to this. Now, whenever you start a PhD or whenever you are a MSc student, I think this is the best opportunity that you can try publishing a paper. And when you want to publish a paper, when you want to publish a research paper, there are various doubts, there are various queries related to the research journal, research related to, everyone is talking about SCI journals, Scopus journals. So there is always a, amount of doubt and some queries, and sometimes it takes a lot of time. Say, for example, when people like us were students, we didn't have much of that, there was no Internet Explorer in the way it is now today. So I think this lecture, or maybe this talk, is going to help you in that way. So what I have done is, this is my organization of presentation. So I will be talking little about what is a research and research proposal. How do you write a research paper? What are the various ingredients of a good research paper? And then I will start with the main topic of research database, Web of Science, SCI, Scopus, Google Scholar, and of course, in our country, we are also concerned with the UGC approved journals, which is under the UGC care. So I am sure that you get a good experience on what all these things are. So my request would be that you please listen carefully, and if there is any doubt, you can raise your hand, or maybe you can write your question in the chat box, or maybe at the end we can take it. It's up to you. But please don't hesitate to ask any question. You can always write in a chat box if you are hesitating to ask it. So let us start, dear students. So when I say research itself, we don't know what is research. It takes a lot of time to defining research. What exactly is a research? Because you are working, reading and reading more and more books. So you say that I am going to library to do my research work, and then you start reading books. Or maybe there are some puzzles in mathematics which you are going to solve in a big way. Maybe it's a something like when I studied graph theory, there was a problem of people sitting in the dining table. Problem as simple as that, but then it was solved in a big way in a mathematics. Or maybe crossing a river. These are very old problems, maybe 1800 something. Or you are all working, collecting some data, doing some survey, applying SPSS or some other software and analyzing this. You say that yes, this is my part of research and I'm doing it. Whereas there is a close investigation maybe in the science subjects where you call that yes, this is a part of my research. Or in engineering field, you can say that you are working in a workshop, or you're doing some experimentation and then trying to find out the results. So with doing all these things, you are just lost in the ideas and found confusion. Maybe after 1 year or 2 years, and this is a practical problem. Sometimes you see you don't visualize what you have to actually do. So some theories say that okay, if you want to do PhD, you are interested in research, just start writing the research papers. This is one of the parts. Or you say that now it's over, my work is over now, I have got PhD, so my research work is over. Whereas some say that actual research starts when you complete the PhD. So there are a lot of thoughts and ideas in this. Research, if I define it systematically, research is a search of knowledge. It can be any systematic investigation with an open mind to establish novel facts, solving new or existing problems, proving new ideas, or develop and apply theory, and that may be in the form of collection of some data, information, or advancement of knowledge. And the tagline says that research serves to make building stones out of the stumbling blocks. So out of those stumbling blocks, you are just building stones, and over a period of time, the buildings are built just because you are trying to collect some parts from here and there. A knowledge conversion process is a typical process where you as a research candidate in a research environment go through the knowledge creation process, knowledge transfer process, and that you are emitting that knowledge. And the result is that as a researcher, you take out some research products, or maybe research degree, maybe research paper, maybe the patents, and so many things. So what all when you do research? knowledge creation, transfer, and embedding process is okay. But then how much? Is it only a successful research degree? You say the research is completed. Are they patents? Or you are just not doing anything in terms of PhD, but just publishing the papers? Or maybe any developments in the field, in the area? Say, for example, when you are going for a vaccine for COVID, then you can say that your purpose is not only the research paper, your purpose is not just anything else, but yes, it is a development and it is a benefit to the society. You are working for society. Or something can be useful to the industries, and in a way you are generating a sense of competitiveness. So fools make researches and wise exploit them. This is one of the saying, which says that people who are doing the research in these actual areas have to work very hard. Maybe they are getting Nobel Prize or not is a separate issue, but they are working so hard that at the end of the day, it is a next generation or next to next generation which is actually using that research in the society or exploiting them. So the purpose in any of your PhDs or maybe your MSc dissertation or maybe project is to write a research proposal. And once you select and formulate the research problem, you need to prepare a synopsis or a research proposal for the presentation of the requirement of the body. That body can be your department also. It can be DST also, it can be UGC also, or it can be your own university also. And research is a gateway to new knowledge, but that depends on how meaningfully the research problem has been identified. So if the problem is not systematically and meticulously identified, then of course you can foresee some problems in that. In any area you are working, in the beginning, researcher has a problem blindness. Problem blindness is you are not able to see actually the problem, what is the problem, and perceives a very diffused, vague, and general view of the problem. You decide you want to work in the area of the complex numbers, or you decide you want to decide in the area of the waiting line or the queuing models. But what exactly? So that slowly and slowly you are going to clarify. And when you make up a research proposal, the research proposal is actually a blueprint which as an architect designs before the construction of the house. So it indicates that what you are going to do and how it is going to be carried out. And when you actually write down a research proposal, writing down the research proposal is very important. And when you take time in writing the research proposal, it broadens the horizon and is thought-provoking in visualizing the goals. When you start writing, new and new questions come to your mind, new and new ideas come to your mind, and then you visualize that what you have to actually do. And of course, it constitutes a bond of agreement if you are applying to some outside body. And in the funded research, you have to take up the budgets and times, and all those things are also important. So this is a typical format of research proposal that you write down. That when I say research proposal, you can have it a synonym with your synopsis also while you are writing for your dissertation or maybe your PhD. So this is a typical format, and that's what I think we have also given in the similar format. Statement of title of the problem. So it is not the topic of PhD, it is a statement of title of the problem. The title can be a little smaller one, but the statement can be a little bigger one, maybe 2, 3, 4 lines. That what exactly you have to, problem that you are going to solve. Similarly, introduction, then statement of the problem, it should have come above. Review of the related literature, that is very important. Then what are the objectives of the research, methodology, expected outcomes, and references. Now in all these bullets, of course, all bullets are very important. But if I say that how to, start with and how to target, then your most important would be the statement of the problem and the objectives of the research. Objectives of the research, maybe 3, 4, 5, 7 in number. So they systematically define that what type of research you are going to do, what type of experimentation you are going to do, what type of survey you are going to do. And if you have written your research proposal properly, if you have chosen your problem properly, then please be sure that you will get at least one research paper out of the one objective, at least one research paper. So this is how you have to visualize the things. And when you write a research proposal, you must meet the guidelines and requirements of the regulatory body, and it must exhibit the clarity. That has to be, of course, well understood by the researcher. And the objectives, as I told you, they help to see clearly the benchmarks and the logical end. And literature review is exhaustive over the years. So when you talk about literature review, it is not only last 5 years. Go last, depending on the problem, depending on the area, go last, at least go 20-25 years. It can be 50 years also if your problem is quite low. So you have to ensure that the latest papers are reviewed, and of course maybe some decades ago also. And your research proposal should not be too open-ended and also a closed loop. When I say too open-ended, that means you have to define something clearly, which is visualized by you and by the your say supervisor also, and the other stakeholders also. And it should not be so close that you define yourself in a way that after 1 year or after 2 years you are not able to work ahead, because that is not exactly written in your research proposal. Okay. So when you write down a research paper, the problem is how to start and when to start. As a MSc student or maybe as a research scholar, starting is a inertia is there. Maybe that you think that there is a considerable time after registration, so now I should write a paper. 2 years have passed, I haven't written any paper, I haven't published any paper. Or it can be your supervisor's continuous reminders, or your teacher's continuous reminders, your guide's continuous reminders. Or you start writing when you're ready with the result. For 1.5 years, you were working with some experimentation, and now you have got the results. Or you are waiting that you have appropriate writing skill, you know everything, you got knowledge, you can visualize, but you are unable to write in the language that is required, that is desired by the the various publishers, various journals. Or you decide very meticulously that where my paper is to be submitted. You don't want to waste time, you don't want to waste your energy also. So you finalize the journal where you want to submit your paper. Or there is a pressure on you that your fellow researcher's paper is ready to be published. Maybe somebody who has joined PhD in your batch, and you see that he has published 2 papers, so you are yet to start. So these are all the all these bullet points are the reminders or the areas or all the indicators that when you should write the paper. So I would say that don't wait for any of these factors, but start writing when you feel about it, because initiation will improve your vision for the research. Some people start writing research paper even before joining PhD. That is it. Because when you initiate, that improves your vision, that what to do and how to do. It is going to identify the roadblocks before you actually start your work, and it instills a confidence in you that yes, this is my work and this is how I have to take it further. So students, my say would be, start writing your thoughts and not the research paper. So when you start writing your thoughts, slowly it is converted into a research paper. Then of course there are simple guidelines that this should be the format, this should be this is how to be submitted. So I think that all you can very well do. You are quite competent in that way. Okay. So this is a typical format of research paper. You have a title, author's affiliation, abstract, keyword, introduction. You review the literature. Then there is introspection to the main theme what you are talking. Then some of the your findings or the provisions of the research. Then you talk about some methodology, that how you are going to work. It can be hypothesis, it can be survey, it can be some technique you are applying. And then finally there are certain implications and the results. And then you conclude something, and at the end of course there are references. So this is a typical format of any research paper if you are going to start it. And I have an example, but let me show it later on, because later on also I have to show you this example. So this is how you write the research paper. So now there are certain do's and don'ts when you write a research paper. Number one is the language should be proper. Okay, there has to be continuity in writing. The two paragraphs, the two sections should not be missed. And for this, you must write preambles and concluding remarks in each section. This is very important. Sometimes you abruptly jump onto something in a new paragraph or in a new section, but it has to be with the preambles and the concluding remarks. And please make sure in any of your projects, in any of your dissertations, that the figures and tables are properly labeled and referred in the text. So whatever you references you give, it has to be referred in the text and vice versa. And of course, there are certain don'ts. There shouldn't be any grammatical error. You should not use any objectionable language, and the name of the company and person without any permission. And of course, the plagiarism or the your research ethics has to be there. And we don't use first tense. We don't use first tense of English in a paper. We don't say I did this or we did this. No, the researchers have come across, or researchers have done that, or the author has written this. So it is that tense that we are using. There are professional companies which you will be getting an invitation when you submit a paper. They will be telling you that we will help you to all these papers. And I'm sure that you people are all competent enough that you can yourself do this. Okay, but if there are any problems, you can always take the help of your teachers. So this is about how do you write down the research paper. And when you write down the research paper, it is very important that for what area you have to write down, in which journal you have to submit. Are there any issues which are inviting something in the journal, or is it under the scope of this particular journal? So for that, whatever work you are doing, please be sure that there are lot of journals in that area. So don't think that first I will search a journal and then I will write a paper. You finalize your area, start writing, and then during the period of that time, you can always search for the journals, because it is very important, and as per the requirement also, that you publish a quality research paper. When I say quality research paper, as on date, we are talking on the top regarding the SCA journals or the Scopus journals. And of course, it has to be UGC approved. So some of the terms I think that you might have heard also. So we will be discussing them. Peer review, citation, impact factor, Clarivate Analytics, JCR, Publon, Scopus, Sitescore, SJR, SNP, and Google Scholar. So these are all the terms that we'll be talking about. But don't worry, you might not be too much conversant with all of them in this 1 hour. But of course, we will stress more on the Web of Science or SCI, the Scopus, the UGC list and all those things, Google Scholar. Yes, this is also very important, the useful terms or the indices that we say. Normally this is a quality index of any author, or maybe any paper in a way, or any journal. So normally when you talk about the say authors, you say what is your H index in Scopus, what is your H index in Google Scholar, what is your I10 index, or what is your G index. So first two are the quite so when you talk about the peer review, now you must have read in our PhD ordinance also that your paper should be in a peer reviewed journal. Peer reviewed is also we call as the referring of a journal. See, one is Mr. A is editor. He invites a paper. He himself checks all of them, scrutinizes, and then publishing them. So there is no peer reviewing. Peer reviewing is that when the author's work is scrutinized by the people, by the expert who are in the same area. So if somebody in the world is writing a paper in the area of mathematics where your teachers have got expertise, then those journals might send the research paper for scrutinizing to your teachers also. That means anyone who is expert in the area, and then it helps the publisher to decide based on their say recommendation, based on their comments, that what changes are to be done, whether it is to be straight away accepted, whether it is to be straight away rejected, or there are certain modifications that you suggest the researcher to do. Fine. And citation is nothing but when you are citing your research paper. When I write a research paper, say for example, I wrote a research paper 10 years ago, and after that, many people, many researchers might have done in that or in the related area. So at the end, in the references, they might write the name of my paper. So that is called citation. And when you write somebody's paper in the references, it must be also be covered in the text somewhere, that how do you refer it, why you have referred it, and what is the related area. So that is called citation. So citation is an alphanumeric expression. It can be a combination of both in-body citation and the bibliographic entry. That means in the body, in the text itself, or also at the end. And it upholds intellectual honesty, that yes, I have referred this paper, so that's why I am writing the work related to that area. Apart from that, it allows the reader to determine independently whether the referenced material supports the author or argument in a claimed way or not. So if you as a student are reading the research paper, you will also read the references. So if you want to go into more details, you can go into that references also. And then it helps the reader, as I told you, that you are able to assess, you are able to gauge the strength and validity of material. So when you are referring a paper, when you are writing 50 or 100 citations, so it is not cheating. It is not wrong. So rather, it is good that you have referred 50 papers before you have written this paper. So that means you are well aware of the fact that what all has been done in this particular area. So you are not writing something which has been repeated, so that this also it makes sure. When I show you, I will give the example actually. So I will open it once only. So the citations can be from a book, citations can be from a journal, from a newspaper, from a website, or it can be some other sources also. And of course, it can be on the actual documents also. And when you talk about the citation or as a paper, you need to give the name of the author, the date or year of the publication, the title, the volume, issue numbers, everything. Or if it is a book or a journal, it can be ISBN number, it can be ISSN number, it can be a DOI number, that is a digital object identifier. And in medical journals, it can be a medical research, it can have a PubMed identifier. And whenever you are referring a paper in the last, so you are normally referring in this way. Say for example, I have written this as Peirce 1989. So that means this is in the text. In the text, I have written that Peirce 1989 states. So whatever you want to. So this is in the text. And then if there are two authors, then you refer it like this. Within brackets, you write down the name and the year. If there are three authors, you write down like this. Write down the year along with. And if there are more authors, then you write et al. So this is these are the different ways how do you refer inside the text, and this is how you refer at the end of your paper, that is in the references. So different journals have got different requirements, but this is a normally this is how you write down the name of the author, year, the name, the title of the paper, the name of the journal, and the details about the volume and page numbers. So this is typically for one of the journals you will find. So this is how you write down the references. And yes, A-B stands for that if there are two papers in a way, then you have to write down the A and B, making a difference. Of course, the page numbers also make a difference. Okay. So after citations, very important part is impact factor. So you will find that researchers are talking about what is the impact factor of the journal, and impact factor is so I would say that impact factor also relates to in which area you are working. But yes, it's a mathematical formula. it typically talks about the importance of a journal, but then it talks about the importance of that particular area also. So impact factor is the number of the citations in the previous 2 years divided by number of publications in the previous 2 years. Let us take an example. Say in 2018, and in 2019, a particular journal has published 100 papers. In 2 years, a journal has published 100 papers, maybe in 6 issues or maybe in the say 12 issues. And how many citations were there of these papers? Say, for example, those papers have citations, say 150 in different journals and different papers. So your impact factor would be 150 divided by the 100, that is 1.5. So number of citations in those 2 years of all the papers in that particular journal, and divided by the total number of publications. So this is the impact factor. Of course, this talks about the quality of the journal, but one of the thoughts of researchers and me too is that it also depends on that how much work is being done in that particular area nowadays. So if more work is done, it's more beneficial to society. It's more beneficial in terms of the human race. Then of course more work will be done. You can talk about the papers related to the environment. You can talk about the papers in the environment, or maybe in the medical science. So I was reading somewhere that the top 10 journals which have got high impact factor is one journal by the name of Journal of Cancer. So it's so important to work in these areas. Daily new medicines are coming, scientists are working, researchers are working. So there is more and more references, more and more citations of those particular papers. Okay. Similarly, this is a cited half-life. Okay, this you can leave right now. Now, Nature is one of the most recognizable scientific journals in the world, and it was most cited scientific journal with an impact factor of 43, and this was reported in the 2018 JCR, that is the Journal Citation Report. Okay. Now let us come to the till now we were talking about these 2 or 3 important terms: the impact factor and the citations and the references. Now let us talk about one database which is known by the name of Web of Science, which you normally talk about the SCI journals. So these are in the Web of Science. So Web of Science is nothing. It's a website which provides a subscription-based access to multiple databases that provide different areas, different disciplines, and it is currently being maintained by Clarivate Analytics. So in some papers I could find in some even the brochures and booklets that people are still writing Thomson Reuters. That the paper. No. Thomson Reuters was earlier maintaining this, and now this data is being maintained by the Clarivate Analytics. Okay. So you need to go to the website of Clarivate Analytics, and then you have to see all these things. So Clarivate Analytics is nothing but they are just maintaining the data of the Web of Science, and this is their web page, Web of Science, where you are going to land in all these things. So what I will do is I will just show you this one, and then I will go through directly to the internet. SCI, it's a general term which is in turn led to Web of Science. But this Web of Science collection, it contains various categories of the journals, online databases, which can be Science Citation Index expanded also apart from SCI. It can be Social Science Citation Index, SSCI. It can be Arts and Humanities Citation Index. It can be ESCI, which you normally call as E-Source Citation Index, or it can be a Book Citation Index or a conference or a proceeding. So these are the various. So when you say SCI, then you talk about whether it is SCI or ESCI or SCIE. So SCI Science Citation Index, SCI is Science Citation Index expanded, and ESCI is Emerging Source Citation Index. So of course, at the top is SCI, and some journals are in SCI, some in ESCI, and so on. So this is again their web page only. You have a master journal list, and then you are able to search. And this JCR is nothing but it's a journal citation report which is given by the graduate analytics only. They give a booklet, where you find that all the all the journals are compared, and this is something like this. Like this is a 2019 journal citation. So full journal list, all journals are given like this here. So what is the rank of the journal? What is the category? Impact factor. So all these things are given, and this is available in the Excel form also. So you if you want to have just an idea and an overview that what are the various journals in this, this is one of the ways to see that particular journal. Okay. And Publon is nothing but it's a commercial website. Publon it provides free service to academicians. So it came up only a few years ago, and I as a researcher can log in this Publon free of cost, and then I can know that what are my publications in SCI journals, and how many papers I have reviewed, and so many things can be done in this Publon. So it just helps the researchers. It's a very, very useful one. I will show you this one. Okay. So let me before I move on to the next one, let me show you that actually how it is being done. So what we will do is, so this is the website that I talked about, where you find out this one. Yeah. So let us explore this, and let us actually see that how the things are there in this. Okay. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen? Web screen, no? So this is it. When I open Clarivate Analytics page that I gave you.
Excuse me, sir. Actually, only the the screen, that is your, I think, presentation, the screen on which you are showing your presentation, it is visible. So you need to share your desktop screen.
Okay.
In that screen sharing option, the very first option should be desktop. If you will select that, then we can see your screen, sir.
Now you're able to see this web page?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
it is
sir.
visible.
Okay. See, students, this is the home page of the Clarivate Analytics. Okay. So, yeah. So in this, at the top, you can scroll through this and see what all things are there. But important would be you go to products and service, and if you click on the products and services, so here you will find this Web of Science, this analytics, where you got this JCR Journal Citation Report. Okay. Then you have got here as the master journalist, here as the Publon. I'm just telling you which are more prevalent, which are more important, or which we normally talk about. One is this master journalist, one is Publon, one is JCR, and this one is very important, scholar one, because when you actually submit a paper, you go through this. So let us see this master journalist. If I press this master journalist, then you are going to open this. If I explore the master journalist, so yeah, this is how I can now browse the journals. How can I know? Say, for example, my area is mathematics. Okay. If my area is mathematics in general, I want to see what are the journals related to this. Just search the journals. So if I write the name mathematics, you will find that there are 1,226 say my results are there. So there are so many journals in related to this that say for example the name itself is mathematics. So this is advances and applications in discrete mathematics. So these are all SCI journals. I mean in the Web of Science. This is advances in applied mathematics, advances in applied mathematics. Okay, so let us take up this. This is advances in applied mathematics. So when I view the profile page, this one. So now here I have to log in first. So I have already logged in, saved my login here. So you have to register first, free of cost, and then only it will open. So when I open this, when I sign in this, so you will find that the details of these journals are available now. Advances in applied mathematics. Okay. So this was first published in 1980. Issues per year 10. Sometimes intelligently you see that how many issues are there per year. If a journal has got only 4 issues per year, the probability of publishing your paper is of course less. And if there are 10 or 12 issues or even more, okay, published USA, and it is covered in SCIE, Science Citation Index Expanded. Okay, and you can also find literary journals. So now through this you can visit the home page of the journal also. This is journal website, you see, visit site. So if I press this is the home page of the Advanced in Applied Mathematics journal. So you find that impact factor is 0.952, site score is 1.6, and here all the details. I think now everything you can see. I need not explain now. Submit your paper, view articles, guide for authors, how to write a paper. Wherever journal you go on home page, please see this also, abstracting and indexing. So this will show you that where this particular journal is indexed. So important to us are it is there in SCI and it is there in Scopus. So likewise there are many databases, but most important are these one. So this is how, dear students, you are able to reach to a journal through this particular website. Now apart from this, if I go to if I go to this particular, say, Clarivate Analytics website, then you will find, I think I have to go again, no problem. Yeah. So this is it. Again, I go to product and services, and then I see that I can see JCR report, Publon, and all these things. And as I told you, Publon is nothing, but it helps the authors to see their own papers. So this is how you go in for Publon. Okay. So you can always log into this. And for logging in, again, you have to create an account, which I have already created. And this is my dashboard now. So you can see Sandeep Grover is written here. Private dashboard summary. So this is in the SCI journals papers. So this is my researcher ID, and all my citations, publications, details are given here. Say for example, 29 publications, 11H index, and all these things are given in the all different forms. So this is something which says this talks about the, say, number of publications. This talks about number of citations. Say for example, in 2018, my papers were cited 51 times. In 2019, they were cited 66 times. And this year, 2020, they have been cited only little less, that is the 43 times. So this is how, you see the curve is going on. When I started my, research initially in 2004 or 5, and accordingly, this is how it is going on. So what I mean to say is very handy record. Earlier as a researcher, what I had to do was to search for everything. No, now no need to search. Everything is given on the website, just helping us. Okay. So now you are able to see my screen presentation. No.
No, sir.
Sir.
No. Okay. कुछ problem है इसमें. Now I think you're able to see.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So let us move little fast already. Okay. So this is all about the Web of Science. A little talk on Scopus. In Scopus also, this is another database like Web of Science. So Elsevier, collections, even more collections are there, and so many publications, so many peer-reviewed journals are there. So this is again a home page for the Scopus. You can always search down the journals like I have shown you, and also you can create your own account, and maybe you're able to find out that how you are as an author, so how your profile is being there. Okay. uh, so I will show you that in the website. So site score is parallel to when you are talking about the JCR, or the impact factor in terms of the Web of Science. So parallel to that is it is in the Scopus. It's a measure reflecting the yearly average number of citations to recent articles published in that journal. So similar to the your impact factor, the only difference is that site score is based on the citations recorded in the Scopus database rather than in the JCR. So that is not in the Web of Science, but only in the Scopus database only. Similarly, this is a ranking of journals. I think you can go through this. This is nothing but how the journals are being ranked. Let me not miss any important thing. Yeah. So what I am going to do is now is I am just going to show you something on the web page again about the Scopus. I want to show it to people live because so that you can always yeah. So here if I type this Scopus, immediately I am going to visit the Scopus website. So this is it. So this is how you can go through as I have shown you in the Web of Science, Scopus content, journals, and check out for author. If as an author you want to check your own profile, it's free of cost. I have been telling to many people also, which I think it is paid. You have to just write down your name. Okay. And then accordingly, yeah. So here, say for example, you just write down name, write down your affiliation. Don't write too much of affiliation because then it might, yeah, I'm just writing YMCA and I'm trying to find out all the papers related to this. So you will find your name will come as an author, JC Bose University of Science and Technology, and then all the papers, everything will be here. So you see again the same things like this, whatever I've shown you there. That was for the Web of Science. This is for the Scopus. So you see these are the number of citations, 116 and 111 this year, and this all curve goes on. So this is how you can check up, about this. And the third, this where you can see all this is the third database where you can see all this is the Google Scholar. Or what I will do is I will just show you first the list of journals here. Yeah. So this is this you see in Scopus when I write /sources, you see all these journals are coming. Highest site score, citations. So here also similar to the this one Web of Science, you can find out your journals here. So this is one way of doing this. So one database we have talked about is Web of Science, one is Scopus, and the third is exactly not a database, but it is just one of the listings, what you call as the Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is also not exactly, I should say, similar, but yes, it is something which again gives you all these indices about the author. Say for example, if I write down, if I want to search someone in this, you can directly go through this, and then yes, this is again the profile. This profile you have to create for you, and then you are able to find out how your papers are listed. So you see there are three things I have shown you. One was Web of Science, in which you can see all the journals and all the authors database. Second was Scopus, and third is this one, where you cannot see the listing itself, but yes, you will find that there are a lot of journals here, and year wise they are being given, and number of citations. So here also you can see the citation, H index, I10 index, so all these things you can see. It needs a more comprehensive workshop on this. So with a shortage of time, I just wanted to show you the overview. And not only you, whosoever are your co-authors, you can see their profile also. So these have been my co-authors in a way. So I can see their profile also by clicking on their name. Fine. Okay. Okay. So now coming back to the presentation. So this is apart from that typical way of referencing, we now also talk about the altmetrics. Nowadays you people are on the Twitter or maybe Facebook and all those things, social media. So that hashtag is important. If you want to popularize something, you take a hashtag. So this particularly talk about the non-conventional means. Say for example, how many times your paper was viewed and downloaded is a other indicator of how important it is. People may not buy it, but they actually see it and they actually read it. They might not refer it. So Wikipedia, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media, they all tell us that how these are the group of metrics which are capturing various parts of the impact of the paper or the work you have done. When you share something on the Facebook, you find here viewed by, number of views. So 50 people have viewed, 200 people have viewed. This is talking about that thing, that how many people have viewed or downloaded your paper. So Google Scholar, I already told you, but please remember this last line, that Google Scholar may also include many journals, including the predatory journals. That is those journals which we call them, they are of not good quality. Why? Because they publish, they are not peer reviewed. They just ask for the papers and they publish your paper within 1 week. So please avoid giving your work in such type of journals, because they will not be counted anywhere in future in your professional life also. Okay, so this I have already shown you. Now the three indices that I wanted to talk was, one was the H index. So H index is nothing but when your N papers have been cited N number of times. Let us take up an example. Say for example, you have got 8 articles, you have got 8 papers. The first paper got 54 citations, second paper got 33, and so on. So if N number of papers have got at least N citations, then your H index is that particular number. Here the H index is 5, because at least 5 papers have got at least 5 citations. Let us talk about 4 and 6. 6 papers have not got at least 6 citations, so that's why 6 is not the H index. So 5 is that particular maximum number where you see that N number of papers have got at least N citations. So it only talks about the number of citations. It does not talk about the weightage. On the other hand, I10 index is nothing but it's in the Google Scholar. So the number of publications, very simple, which have got at least 10 citations. So if you are out of your 70 publications, if your 30 papers have got at least 10 citations, then your I10 index will be 30. Okay. Similarly, G index is nothing but it is talking about the N square citations. So again, I have an example to show you in this. So if you find that if you cumulative figure, if you come in each of the rows, then you will see that 7 square is 49. So if you total this one, okay, so this will more than that. 8 square is 64. If you total this one, it will be less than 64. So that particular number, when the articles are ranked in a decreasing order based on the citations, then the G index is calculated as top n articles having at least n square citation, n square. Okay, so the first number out of this that qualifies this n square is 7, because up to 7 the total is more than 49. Okay, so that's it about these indices. This is just a data about number of publications in all field about the countries, top 10 journals most cited or the high impact factors. So the nature, that's what I was talking you. And these are top universities which have published most high impact papers. So these are the top 5 and data is little old. Okay, and institutions in engineering that have papers or citations. Yeah, the last point that I wanted to talk was, I hope I am almost on time. The last point I was talking is the UGC CARE. So CARE stands for Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics. So it has been given by UGC to promote the quality research, academic integrity, and publication ethics in the Indian universities. So this is prevention of publication in the predatory or the dubious journals or the substandard journals. So the journals that are in the UGC list are presumed to be not substandard. So for this, a list of journals UGC is maintaining. And now, apart from maintaining the list of journals, this work is being done on behalf of UGC by University of Pune. So in that you will find that this list is given. Give me 5 more minutes, and I will be able to tell you live that how to see the UGC CARE journals. Okay. So if I talk about UGC CARE journals, so you just type UGC CARE. Okay. You see Pune University, ugccare.unipune.ac.in. So you will land into this website, which is University Grants Commission Consortium for Academic and Research Ethics, UGC CARE. So now what UG has done, earlier it was having 4 groups, wherein the list of journals were given. Now instead of having those 4 groups, it is having 2 lists, UGC CARE list 1 and group 1 and UGC CARE list group 2. So let me talk about UGC list group 2 first, because in UGC list group 2, all the journals that we have talked till now, they are covered in this. So if your paper is in Web of Science or say SCI, SCIE, ESCA or Scopus, so then you need not see that my whether paper is UGC listed. It is automatically listed now. You see, this is Arts and Humanities, SCI, Scopus. But yes, you have to make sure some journals are there initially, then they are not there now. So those things you have to take care. And for UGC CARE list group 1, you have to search whether that paper, whether that journal is there or not. So in this case, this will pop up, and say for example, I am searching the title. So let me search like industrial. Let us see what happens. I am talking about the journals, the Journal of Industry Engineering. Okay, so this is the list. So actually, yesterday only I was searching. One of my students published a paper in Industry Engineering Journal. So that was neither in Scopus nor in Web of Science. So, but this is how you see that this is there in the UGC list. And UGC always invites that you can always have your papers listed in this UGC list. If they are not, you can always as an say publisher, you can always go for this, that whether your papers are being listed in this or not. So if you see the home page of this, you see in the top, there is one marquee that is going on. Deadline for submission of new journals will be 10th December 2020. So that is, the publishers can always submit more journals to be included in the group 1. but group 2 is there, which are the globally recognized journals. So this is I think what you should see, that your papers are preferably in the SCI or in the your Scopus part, or they can be in the, at least they have to be in the UGC list. So this is what we were talking about, and this is what I have shown you. Okay. So all these papers, I think now you have some idea on how to see the papers in UGC list or in Scopus or in the Web of Science. If there are any doubts, you're always welcome to ask me or any of your teachers. But yes, please start doing some work in that search area. Okay. So thank you so much. So rather, I would say that MSc students must decide right now in MSc first year or in second year, and they should start writing the papers. And let me tell you, there is no area in which paper cannot be written, and there is no area in which you can say that I didn't find any journal. So start writing and apply technique or whatever it is, but just go for it. Okay. So I can be contacted at this on the screen I have written. Okay. So thank you so much, and I welcome the questions, any queries if they are there. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I think it was indeed a wonderful talk. I had chat box. I am receiving messages from most of the participants that it was really an informative lecture. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
And some will contact you through email also for their
okay.
future things.
Okay.
So, sir,
No
that's
problem.
it from our side.
I can always be connected otherwise also in the university. Okay. Or through
Yes.
email.
So,
If there are any questions from the participants, it's good. Otherwise, over to Madam Neetu Gupta.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much, sir. It was really a wonderful talk, and curious minds will surely contact you through
Yeah,
email.
sure.
Yeah.
That's
Now I request our chairperson, Dr. Reenu Gupta, ma'am, to please give a vote of thanks to our expert for today, ma'am.
Yeah, I think before Dr. Suraj and Dr. Neetu Gupta, there are other faculty also. I think we must give an open offer to our MSc first year students especially, that if you are interested in writing a paper, if you have got a flair for writing, then let us start in MSc, and within a period of 2 years at least they should be able to write 1 or 2 papers. What happens actually is, when they pass out from MSc, at that time they come to know all these things, and then it is not with you. Then they go out and somewhere, and then you don't know. So I think you should catch them right now, and there are various areas in which you can jointly work also, and we can definitely have papers, because students are our biggest strength. So I mean, it's good for them also and for our university also. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, it is a great privilege for me to express my gratitude to Professor Sandeep Grover on the behalf of our Department of Mathematics. Sir, I must say that the knowledge you have shared here will definitely benefit us. You are a researcher and academician par excellence. I am quite sure that after this wonderful talk, many doubts of researchers cleared now. We appreciate and cheer for the work you do for the welfare of the society by ignoring your personal comfort. And we are very thankful to you for your valuable time. We look forward to your more lectures in the future. I am also thankful to all the participants who are attending this online program. I hope this lecture will live up to the expectation of all the participants. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. Thank you. And namaskar to all of you.